Hey guys, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've finally done my brow tutorial. So I went pretty in depth, but not too in depth, on how I got my brows looking like this, which is what I do. I always do my brows the same unless I'm being really quickly and I'll just brush something through it. But if you like the way that my brows look and you've been wondering how I do them, keep watching. Just before I start, I'll just tell you what I use for them. So I always use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo. So let's just get straight into it. Okay guys, so we are up way closer than I am comfortable with. Now we're gonna start with tweezing any strays. So it's good to tweeze with the growth rather than against when you're doing your brows, because you don't want to distort the follicles and kind of make them grow in different directions. Be careful not to tweeze too close to the brow unless you're used to doing that, but I always tweeze too much. I've got so much eczema on my eyes at the moment as well, so I'm sorry that you have to look at my crepey eye. Okay, now that that's all done, I'm going to grab a double-ended brush. So this one has like an angled side, and it has like the spoolie side. This brush is pretty old, so it looks a bit manky, but just make sure that it's clean. First, I'm gonna brush through my brows and make sure that there's no foundation or anything in there. And then I'm going to take my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo, and this is in the color Ebony. So it's got two shades in it. It has this kind of lighter shade here and then a darker shade here. And the reason that mine's gone all shiny is because I never make sure that around my brows is set enough. I often do my brows when my face is quite sticky still from the foundation, and it makes this kind of harden, which sucks. So that's my next tip. Make sure that your skin's not oily or dewy from any foundation. I'm just gonna set it now actually, so any powder will do. I'm just gonna use a translucent powder and a kabuki brush. Okay, now I'm going to start with the powder. So I usually begin with the darker shade and I apply that to the tail of my brow. So tapping off any excess, and I'm just gonna start from where the arch starts and take that right to the end of the brow tail. And I extend mine a little bit too. This brow's not as nice as my left. So I'm just gonna keep building that up until it looks nice and straight. Don't worry if it doesn't look ideal, because we'll be doing a bit of cleaning up after. Then I'm going to do the same to the top of my brow. I'm just going to put a bit of extra powder on my skin because my other tail of my left brow is a bit thicker, so I want to make this one match. So just to say it again, I'm using the darker shade of this brow duo. Now I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And this one is way easier, but I often get overconfident and I ruin it anyway. I'm so nervous to do this video because so many people have asked for it. I really want it to be good. Hopefully it's not a bad brow day. Okay, now I'm going to start from the front of my brow, or the start of my brow, and take it to the arch. So I'm going to start on the bottom again, and I'm going to be using the light color for this now. So I'm just going to really, after tapping off the excess, I'm just going to really lightly kind of mark where I want that, because then I can fill it in there. Better safe than sorry with the start of your brows, I think. Just keep filling it in, keeping it as neat and straight as you can. Perfect. Now same thing on the other side. I kind of like my brows to be a bit lighter at the start, and then I like them to go the darkest right at the end, like that ombre brow look. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing at the top, except I'm going to miss the first kind of 1/2 centimeter of my brows. So I'm just gonna start there and join it to the top of the arch that I did with the darker color. And then with whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to do the top now, the start now. Cool. Same thing on the other side. Okay, and now with that same lighter color, starting from my arch, I'm going to fill everything in. Really concentrating majority of the color on the outer end of my brow, and then just kind of dragging the remaining product through to the start of my brow. So I'll do that, and then with whatever's left on my brush, I'll kind of, from the bottom of my brow, I'll just take it up to the top. And then same thing on the other side. So you can load the brush up quite heavily with product for this bit, because you can't really go wrong. You just got to stay inside the lines, like a bit of colouring in. Beautiful. And now with the spoolie side again, I'm just going to kind of see how there's still a line that you can see right at the front of my brows, because I didn't really colour it in there. I'm just going to kind of drag that upwards so we get rid of that distinctive line. And then I'm just going to drag the rest of the product, make sure all of my hairs are in line. And same thing. Sometimes after you do this step, you might need to refill the front of your brows a little bit, because it does take quite a bit of the product out. I think I actually like this brow better today. This one, the hair always grows more, like the front bit is longer. I should have cut them. Oh well. Not much we can do now. Okay, now I'm going to be using my Benefit Eyebrow. Looks like this. It might be a bit pinky for some, so you can just use any concealer for this. I just like using this because I think it's cool that it's specifically for this. And I'm just gonna brush the top of it with this Zoeva brush. It's called the 226 Smudger. I'm just gonna get a little bit of it on my brush. It's a very creamy consistency, which is good. And then I'm just going to take that underneath and make sure that it's looking nice and sharp. And for this bit, I'm actually going to draw. Yeah, I actually like drawing it better than putting it on my brush. Just blending that so that it doesn't look too harsh. Then I'm going to pick up my Zoeva Concealer Buffer. So that one is the 142. Looks like this little mini buffer head. And I'm just going to smooth out the edges so that it doesn't look so stark white. Now if you need to run it along the top as well, you can. I don't usually, because I don't know, I just never have, and I don't really feel the need to. But whenever I do it, I use a concealer. So I'm going to use my, just for the sake of it today to show you guys, I'm going to use my Josie Maran Argan Creamy Concealer, and this is in the colour Fair, so the lightest one. And pick up that same Zoeva 226 Smudger and just neaten up the edges. You could probably use an angled liner brush as well, that might be easy. Just whatever works for you. If you use a brow stencil, like this is a really good thing to do because sometimes it can get a bit messy. That does look nice and neat. I should do it more. Maybe it's just laziness that I don't do it. Okay, I'm just going to fill in any bits that I accidentally put concealer over. And fix up that bit there. Look, you can see exactly where I put powder but no hair. And now it might look a bit funny because you can really see how white that is, but keep in mind I'm going to be putting eyeshadow on. If I wasn't putting eyeshadow on, I wouldn't have used such a white light color that's going to stand out. I would just use a normal kind of skin colored concealer. Another tip is I've got brows that kind of are already quite flat on my face. Hair doesn't really protrude, if that makes sense. They're not coarse hairs, they're not wiry. But if you do have coarse hairs and they don't like to stay put, you can always just put some clear brow gel through them because that will just kind of keep them in the place that you want them to stay all day. Okay guys, so I'm just gonna finish off the rest of my makeup, do the rest of my face, and then we'll see what they look like after. Alright guys, so now the rest of my makeup's done and this is what the brows look like. I actually did a pretty good job, which I'm really happy about because like I said, I was freaking out. I was so scared I was going to have a bad brow day, but they're actually okay. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave any comments down below in the comment section. I'd love to see what you think. I'd love to see any tips that you guys have or products you think that I would like to try out, anything like that. And we'll have a chat in the comments. Thanks for watching guys.